Today on CityCast Philly, it's the Friday News Roundup. We're talking about the Philadelphia Parking Authority's Bike Lane Enforcement Unit, Philly's first youth Ombudsperson, and the 13th annual Philly Tech Week kicks off this week. It's Friday, May 5th. I'm Trinae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Joining me this week is Elliot Olaya, fellow at Aldea News, and Julie Zeglin, managing editor at Technically. Hey, y'all.
Good morning, Trinae.
Hey, thanks for having us.
So today is National Hoagie Day. So I got to ask you, do you eat hoagies, and where's your favorite hoagie spot?
I'm not sure the technical definition of a hoagie, but there is a Subway nearby my workplace that I like to go to get some sandwiches every now and then.
That's a hoagie. It's definitely a hoagie. Julie, what about you?
Yeah, I gotta say, I'll go with Wawa because it's such a local, iconic spot. I'm sorry, I don't have a local, like a non-chain to mention, but you can find a Wawa anywhere in the region, and you know it's going to be good.
Those are great ones.
I have to disagree, unfortunately, because a few months ago they closed down the Wawa on Market Street near my workplace because people kept stealing stuff from it. Right, so true. Unfortunately, I can no longer get Wawa hoagies. So I'm glad you can at least get them.
Okay, so what are like essentials that you put on your hoagie? I love a sweet and banana peppers on my hoagie.
I was gonna say banana pepper as well. It's a little sweet, but a little spicy too.
I'm going to go with black olives. Actually, they're a favorite of mine. So
okay, I like that. I don't usually put olives on a Wawa hoagie, but I will put it on a Subway hoagie, if that makes any sense.
I think I get it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's start with some top news stories this week. Elliot, some drivers in the city saw tickets on their windshields for possibly parking in both street sweeping zones or blocking bike lanes. You focused on this story in the past couple of days. What is the Philadelphia Parking Authority doing to enforce these parking violations?
To begin with, if you have gotten a ticket, it is because, technically speaking, it has always been illegal to park in these sweeping zones and in these bike lanes. It's just now the Philadelphia Parking Authority has authorized people to go around now. They're putting on more people on the streets to patrol for these violations and to give tickets to them. I believe previously they would give a warning of sorts. They would say, like, don't put your car here, but now they're actively enforcing it.
And they're enforcing it because you reported that since 2011, cyclists have been killed or injured because of these violations. So they're just trying to increase more protections for cyclists.
Right. Yeah, you can imagine how if you're going down a bike lane and there's someone's parked in there, you can't really go around it. You either go into the sidewalk or go into the street. And it's not an easy choice for anybody, especially if there's other cars moving around in the same street as you. So enforcing this, it's certainly a matter of public safety.
For sure. Shifting gears a bit, Julie, as managing editor at Technically, your team has been gathering data on the state of the tech scene in the city, especially in the 3 years since the pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit about what y'all are looking for in this particular project?
Yeah, so each month, Technically, which covers the local tech community, including technologists and entrepreneurs, we focus some extra reporting on a dedicated topic. And this May, we're focusing on what has the last 3 years of the pandemic taught us? How has it changed the local tech community? The Philadelphia region is home to about 100,000 technologists. That includes software engineers, AI professionals, data pros. So we want to know how their jobs have changed, how the companies that employ them have changed, how city centers have changed since the pandemic. There's been a lot of great reporting about, from Technically and from other sources, what has happened to Center City now that not as many people are required to go downtown. Tech is an industry where a lot of people can work from home, so remote work was common even before the pandemic. But if a company no longer needs to have their headquarters in a shiny skyscraper or doesn't feel like they need to now because they can hire from anywhere, how does that change what local means to people who are in Philadelphia and who do want to engage with each other within that tech community? And so that's something that we're really looking into this month. It does coincide with Philly Tech Week, when we are convening a whole bunch of people who work in tech, And there's a lot of exciting stuff to come for that, but it's a great opportunity to really look back and then also see what's changed and what's to come.
Have you started to hear from folks about things that are changing or have changed?
So interestingly, we did some reporting this week at Philly Startup Leaders Entrepreneur Expo, which was hosted on Tuesday. That's an annual event. It's meant for early stage startups. And one of our reporters spoke to a founder who told us he had actually moved to Philly 5 years ago because he had heard that the Philly tech scene was so supportive. It was a good place to grow a company. You could get more bang for your buck in terms of office space, and you could find great engineers. He told us that he feels like at this point, 3 years since the start of the pandemic, the tech scene is about 85% back. So, not everyone is coming out to events because the tech scene in particular it's always convened through meetup groups and networking opportunities. That's not just about growing professional skills, but also finding community of people who you have things in common with. And so that's not entirely all the same as it was before the pandemic, but people are really eager to come together in person again, and we are seeing that.
And we'll have a link to the State of Local Tech Month 2023. It's a form that you want folks to fill out. That will be in our show notes. Tell us a little bit about that, what you're actually looking for.
We're looking for people who are curious about the tech community, who work in the tech community. We want you to tell us what you think we should be covering this month, especially. If you're seeing trends and you want to talk to us about them, you want to share your perspective, you want to point us in a direction, just let us know. And we're really interested to hear what people have to say.
And also interesting, technically doesn't just focus in Philadelphia. You also focus in Baltimore, DC, Delaware, and Pittsburgh. We have a sister city. Shout out to them. Yeah. All right. I wanted to talk about some underreported stories this week. Elliot, you recently reported about the city's first youth ombudsperson. I have to be honest, I had to Google this title because I have never heard it before. Can you explain to us what is an ombudsperson?
So you're not the first person to have to Google it. I had to Google it myself.
Right.
But essentially, an ombudsperson is somebody who formally takes complaints. This is the person that looks at these complaints people have about systems in place, and they either investigate them or, if need be, they give recommendations for how to fix them or mediate between the people that are registering these complaints and the people that are being complained about.
Okay.
So the city's youth ombudsperson is somebody who takes a look at the youth services, right? Child welfare, juvenile detention, things like that. And if there are any complaints about them, they're the ones who investigate, the ones who give recommendations to how to fix things, to improve upon what exists already, and to make sure that there's a continuous safe environment for children, whether they're in juvenile detention or in any other residential placements. And essentially are the ones who are entrusted with sort of taking these complaints seriously.
So can you tell us who's the city's first youth ombudsperson?
Tracy Johnson. She is the first city's youth ombudsperson.
Can you tell us a little bit about her background?
So Tracy Johnson has a history of legal work, right? She has worked with women of color primarily, helped them overcome legal barriers, and pushed to help women learn more in higher education. She's worked with criminals as well, helping clear out juvenile and adult criminal records, and has been able to help people with getting jobs and at employers and getting to schools after they've been arrested and have that criminal record on their professional record, right? That can be a barrier to many people. So she acts as an intermediary between these people. So now as a youth ombudsperson, she's essentially continuing that work where she's overseeing the youth that have been put into juvenile detention and is essentially making sure that they aren't being taken advantage of, or if they are, that somebody will investigate and somebody will take their complaints seriously and can look into what's going on, essentially.
That's good to hear. And before we head into the weekend, the 13th annual Philly Tech Week presented by Comcast kicks off this week. And this is the first year it's completely in person, right, Julie?
It's the first year since the start of the pandemic that all of our biggest events are in person again. It was definitely the norm that everything was IRL pre-pandemic, but now we're back finally. It feels good.
Okay, so tell us, if we don't know, if we're not familiar with Philly Tech Week, what is Philly Tech Week?
Yeah, so Philly Tech Week is the Philadelphia region's largest gathering of tech professionals, but also tech enthusiasts, people who don't know that much about technology. It's meant to be an entry point for anybody who might want to get involved or even just learn more. So that means that events range from, youth STEM showcases and robotics competitions,
Nice.
all the way up to professional conferences for people who are already working as software engineers, for instance. So over the course of this week, you can find 40 plus events. You can find free ones. You can find a couple virtual ones, but mostly in person. There are conferences. There are outdoor parties. The official kickoff event is called Fresh Wave, and that's a teen tech and music party, essentially.
Oh, cool.
It's happening at the University City Science Center, and the goal is to show Philly teens, STEM is cool. STEM is something that you can get involved in. Mm-hmm. And we have events like that all across the week.
I will have to say, a few years ago, before the pandemic, I went to the Philly Tech Week signature event, and I had so much fun. At this point, virtual reality on a headset was the cool thing to do. So I'm kind of dating myself. But yes, is that going to be happening again this year?
The signature event is happening. That's sort of our closing party, and that's happening on Thursday, May 11th. That's at the Comcast Technology Center. Yeah, and that's going to be a party. That's awesome food, definitely dancing, maybe VR sets, not sure about that specifically, but also, going super low tech, I know that there's going to be a typewriter showcase there too. So we're really trying to, Philly typewriters coming out. So we're trying to show the whole range of what tech can be. It's not just artificial intelligence, although of course that will be discussed this week as well. There's also a mayoral forum happening. It's hosted by Word, and that's going to focus on inclusive innovation in Philadelphia. So we've got a whole slate of things for all different interest levels.
That's awesome. We'll have a link to Philly Tech Week so you can attend some of these events. All right, that was Julie Zeglin, managing editor at Technically, and Elliot Olaya, fellow at Aldea News. Thank you both for joining me on CityCast Philly.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
It's time for the tip of the day, where we share a life hack for living in Philly. We've been having a lot of rainy weather recently, and the weekend's forecast is projected to be cloudy. So if you have a chance, you can do some bird watching this weekend. You can actually pick up a free birding backpack available at select free library locations. Each of these backpacks contain a pair of binoculars, local park maps and trail guides, and also a guide to help you identify local birds. To learn more about where you can pick one up, check out the show notes for the link. If you have a tip of the day, we'd love to hear from you too. Call or text us at 215-259-8170. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Our lead producer is Laura Benshoff. Our producer is Abby Fritz. Our Hey Philly newsletter editor is Brittany Valentine. And our host is me, Trinae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from All the Kimonos and James Weldon. If you enjoyed this week of episodes, please tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. It's called Hey Philly. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend and be safe.